Is the world out there just driving you crazy? Well, listen to something just a little bit less crazy. This is Mike Dell's World.
And good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever the case may be. This is Mike, and this is episode 372, the 9th day of Napod Pomo, because I really didn't get one done yesterday. I figure I get 4 bye days, like a bye week for football. This is a bye day. It was Sunday. I was going to do one about ham radio. I'll kick that to next Sunday. But I get 4 bye days because I'm doing 4 episodes of Podcast Insider. So for yesterday's episode, go over to see Podcast Insider over at, this isn't the 9th day, it's the 8th day. Sorry about that. But go over to podcastinsider.com and check out that episode that we did on Thursday. So we'll count that as Sunday's episode. And like I said, today's 372, the 8th day of Napod Pomo. And I should take a selfie here. I'll take a selfie tomorrow. So tomorrow's episode on Tuesday there, I will show you a picture of the No Shave November progress here. I'm on my way to growing a Santa beard by the 1st of December, at least to get a good start on one. We'll see. I don't know as I'll let it grow very long, but we'll see. Anyway, today I want to talk about podcasting and why I dislike Spotify for podcasting. I know I went over that in Podcast Help Desk and all that, but there is a reason why Mike Dell's World is not available on Spotify, at least not by my hand. There might be some episodes that snuck on there, or somebody might have submitted it for me, but I didn't submit it, and I'm not going to submit it because Spotify is not that good at podcasting. Now, they're good at what they're doing. They're very good at music. I hate to admit it. I've tried to leave them for music. I tried Apple Music. I've tried Amazon Music, and you would think Amazon would be good because they've got all those Echo devices and all those things that people listen to music on. I mean, I listen to music on my Echo devices, and if I say anything other than Echo devices, then everybody's will go ding dong or whatever. If you got one of those. But here in the studio I do, and it's hooked up to my Bose acoustic wave radio, and it's some rocking stuff, and I use Spotify to power it for music. But Spotify for podcasting, first, it's a pretty lousy experience compared to even Apple Podcasts, which isn't that great of an experience. I kind of prefer Overcast or one of the new ones. Go check out newpodcastapps.com for some of the new cool ones that are Podcasting 2.0 compatible. But Marco does a pretty good job with Overcast, and I'm sure he'll incorporate some Podcast 2.0 stuff in that eventually. But that's a real podcast app. Well, one of the big things about Spotify, unless you pre-plan, you're not going to hear any podcasts if you get on an airplane and put your phone in airplane mode. And I know you do get Wi-Fi now on airplanes, and some of them you can stream some things, but you're not going to reliably stream a podcast through Spotify on an airplane. At least not yet. I mean, it may happen in the future, but right now you're not constantly connected. Same thing with if I'm driving. Like I did a drive over to the other side of the state a couple of weeks ago. Got to go over to the old air base there in Oscoda. Well, there's some places in the middle of the state of Michigan, in the northern part of the middle of the state, that there's no cell service on T-Mobile anyway, or Sprint, whatever. It's T-Mobile officially now on my phone. And I hate it, but it is what it is because that's what the company gives me. I'm too cheap to get my own smartphone, at least as long as they're going to provide me with one. I'm not going to buy one. But anyway, if I'm driving across the state and I'm out in the woods and the boonies and all that, and I want to listen to some podcasts, I'm not going to do it on Spotify. Now, yes, you can, if you pre-plan it, you can download certain things, set it to download. It won't download automatically. You got to do it. And you can do some music. I've got, quite a bit of music downloaded so that when I'm not in Wi-Fi or in cellular coverage, especially on airplanes, if I want to listen to music, I can. Most of the time when I'm on airplanes, though, I'm listening to podcasts, or I just have the headphones on and not listening to anything just to avoid talking to anybody next to me. Yeah, I'm that way. I'm that guy. But the other thing, and this is purely because I work for a podcast hosting company, but first thing Spotify did to drive a wedge into the podcast community is they signed an exclusive with one podcast hosting company. And of course that company's like, yay, you can get on Spotify. Yay, you can come to us and you can get on Spotify. Yay, and all this stuff. And of course they hate Spotify as much as I do, because I know most of them that work there. At the one that was exclusive, who shall remain nameless, starts with an L. But so first off, that created a crazy demand for something that really shouldn't have been that big of a demand. But, of course, podcasters being what they are, they like the shiny objects. Well, Spotify was the new shiny object, so they were continuously bombarding us at my hosting company that I worked for, saying, how come you guys can't get us on Spotify? Oh, I'm going to leave and I'm going to go to this other place because they can get me on Spotify. And that didn't last too awfully long. And then Spotify wanted to make deals with more hosts, and of course we were one of them. But they wanted it to be special. We couldn't possibly take the regular RSS feed that every other app on the planet takes. No, we got to have a special one, which, by the way, is exactly the same as the one. Anyway, but it has to be special. So we spent probably 2 weeks or 3 weeks of dev time, which is kind of expensive, when you got a team of developers. We've got full-time American developers that work in an office in Columbus, Ohio, and they're not the overseas developers you pay $1 an hour. These are full-time employees of the company. So it takes some money. So we spent a fair amount of money developing this thing for Spotify, while every company out there, including ours, told Spotify, well, why don't you just take the feed? And, oh, no, we can't do that. Oh, well, you should just take the feed. Oh, no, we can't do that. Oh, well, you should just take nope, can't do that. All right. So after that was all done, we spent all this time, and all this effort to get their special feeds for them. And wow, yay, we can now submit people to Spotify. And then immediately the tech support tickets come in. How come my show isn't updating on Spotify? How come this isn't happening on Spotify? How come this isn't happening on Spotify? Why is my stats on Spotify? What's Spotify? Since they do everything special, they just aren't good at it. So, a lot of that stuff just didn't happen right away. But I spent a good year being primary tech support for Spotify for our customers. And that sucked because there wasn't a darn thing I could do about Spotify other than complain at them. Now it's worked out a little bit better, but we still have two systems. And that's the other thing. Right after everybody spent all the money and time doing that, they said, oh, yeah, by the way, we opened a portal and you can just use the regular, anybody can be on there and just use a regular feed. So, why did we spend all this time? I don't know. One nice thing, though, is if you're on Spotify through Blueberry, the company I work for, you can get good stats because they have us on what's called pass-through, which means when somebody hits play, it's coming from Blueberry, not Spotify. If you submit your show to Spotify directly, not through a host, then they're not on pass-through. And that means that the only stats you're going to get is what Spotify tells you, which is not IAB certified and whatever. This isn't a podcasting show, but anyway, thought I would tell you that. But suffice it to say, just the fact that it was such a hard onboarding to get Spotify to have podcasts, it was just, that's why I disliked them. I wouldn't say hate, because like I said, I love their music service, and and I really tried not to. I have to say, I went 6 months without Spotify music, and Pandora is a joke for music. Amazon, like I said, they should work better, but they don't with their own devices. Spotify works awesome with Amazon's devices and on the iPhone. And Apple's is okay, but it, just didn't play well with everybody else. It's just Apple. And I like Apple for most things, but not that or their podcast app. But anyway, so that's why I have a healthy dislike for Spotify and podcasting. And the other thing is they're doing the same sort of thing with paid podcasts now. They're making it sound like it's a panacea of this and that and the other, and they're just trying to get people in there, and they have an exclusive with a few companies to get paid podcasts on there, and then they're going to pull the rug out from underneath them, and we're just not going to play ball with that. Free and open podcasting is the way it should be. And if you want to do paid podcasting, you can roll that yourself as well, But I find it hard enough to get people to listen to a free program and, rather than try to sell it to them. And the other thing about selling programs, if you set up a paid thing at Apple or a paid thing at Spotify or both, then you're obligated. You've got people paying you. So if, say, only 3 people pay for it, you're obligated to deliver a show. If I do a show and, either I get tired of it or nobody listens to it, I can just stop it. And I have done a lot, This one seems to be the only show that I keep going here at MikeDell.com. But that's just because it's whatever I want it to be, whenever I want it to be it. And thankfully, I got enough of you guys sticking around to make it worth my time. I love it. So thanks for staying subscribed and all that good stuff. So I think I'm going to call this a quickie podcast. Tomorrow, I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about. It'll be Traverse City related. And it's also Kathy's birthday, and if I can get a microphone in front of her, maybe we'll get Kathy to talk a little bit. That's my wife, for those of you that don't know. Anyway, everybody have a good rest of the day.